Whatever you have, if you do not develop it, it remains stagnant. It's all about collaborative, okay, working in your family. When it comes to the dynamics of leadership, you have to know what style is applicable. Every now and then, people share different perspectives to that. So you have to now work towards it and see the vision, because I strongly believe in vision, how we can build this family to be a greater height, to go of a greater height. Creativity is one of the highest things that has helped me in business and in life generally. But a coach will show you, a mentor will tell you, but a coach will show you by holding you in the hand and show you practical ways of how it's been done. But the big part, I think, is the personal development. And that is where I think leadership comes in. You develop yourself by being a leader.
What's up, everyone? Ukazu here is the author of Design Your Destiny, Actualizing Your Birthright to Success. And we've had him before on this session, on this podcast. He spoke extensively on purpose, self-discovery, and unleashing your full potential. And that was a very powerful video. If you haven't seen it, make sure you go see this full video and your life will be completely transformed. And then we have him the second time. He spoke about different personalities and relationship. And he went into details talking about different, personality temperament that we all have, that our partners potentially have, that we can look into and understanding our different partners in different relationships. And this time around, we have him here, and he is here to enlighten us on the different leadership dynamics and leadership development and management, and also share his personal story with us. But we can't wait to hear you out. So, Ukazu, how are you doing this morning?
I'm very good. Thank you, Mr. Dapo, for having me on your show. I'm truly humbled and privileged to be here today. Thank you.
First of all, happy 4th of July to you and your family.
Oh, thank you. That was a wonderful one. And I hope you had fun with your friends and family.
Yeah, I had fun. It was awesome. Did you guys enjoy the fireworks and things?
Wow, last night, me and my family were just here enjoying all the fireworks from New York, from New Jersey, and every part of the country. It was really a good experience.
Fantastic. So, when it comes to leadership, one of the things that I've seen over time is, we've seen different types of leaders from different perspectives, from social perspective, from religious perspective, from, numerous perspectives. And one of the fundamental questions that comes to mind is, are leaders born or made? I'd like you to take a jab at that. What's your perspective on that?
Well, that's a very, very interesting question. I come across this question every now and then. People share different perspectives to that. Personally, for me, okay, I have a two-way approach to this question. Generally, I would say leaders are made. I don't believe leaders are born. It could be acquired, but in the real sense, I strongly believe leaders are made. And I say this because you might have a trait of leadership in you. If you do not develop yourself, sometimes it do not come into manifestation. Okay, very few people who are exceptional are the ones who could give that attribute that leaders are made from birth. But even at that, we do know that whatever you have, if you do not develop it, it remains stagnant. So I strongly believe that leaders are made. For you to study leadership, it means you have an interest in that area of life, and you will learn the dynamics on how to approach it. For example, we have different kinds of styles in leadership. We have people-focused leadership, we have authoritative leadership, we have innovative or transformative leadership. We also have charismatic leadership. We also have the one of coaching. So These are all dynamics that you can literally look. But if you now think leaders are born, now how will you know how to approach this? Another way, again, I'm going to look at it from is aspect of the 5 types of knowledge that we have. We have the revealed knowledge, the one people who wrote the Bible received knowledge from God or the Creator revealed. We have empirical knowledge, the one you use in solving practical mathematics problem. We have the rational knowledge, the one that deals with logical reasoning. Right? Now we have the authoritative knowledge, the one you believe people who, based on their experience or expertise. And they also have the intuitive knowledge, which comes up with you internally. Now, if you look at it from that angle, leaders, are they born or they're made? The only angle you will give leaders who are born is intuition. But then you will also rule out the fact that authoritative plays a role, revealed plays a role, empirical plays a role, and above all, rational knowledge plays a role. But your ability to study helps you to galvanize all these things together. So I strongly believe personally that leaders are made. Why giving just 1% to leaders who are born?
Interesting. That's an interesting take on that. Now, if we say leaders are made, what makes a leader?
Like I rightly set up again, we have 2 types of education. We have the formal education and the informal education. The formal education is what you learn in the 4 walls of the classroom, where you have your teachers. It's a well-structured environment. And I also have the informal education, where you learn from your parents, from your friends, the community, and the world at large. But the big part, I think, is the personal development. And that is where I think leadership comes in. You develop yourself by being a leader. You learn from people by applying formal knowledge. Apart from the fact that you will learn in the formal classroom structure, you go out there to learn what are the skills that you need. You know, the best way I can literally explain this is, I always tell my friends that if you meet a man who is literate and who has a business and who has been taught of what it is to run a business and to run a family, and this man has refused to apply those knowledge, I don't think he or she will go far in that business. Compared to someone who is an illiterate, but has been able to learn from someone who has a business and a family, and then they told him or her the secrets of running a business and a family, and this illiterate has gone ahead to implement those things in their business and their family, you will discover that this person will do very well. And then you now ask yourself, why did this man who's an illiterate succeed, and this other man who's a literate person did not succeed? Why? Because it's all about implementation. So when it comes to leadership, it's all about you knowing what to do by developing yourself. So when we talk about leaders being made, how is it being made? You learn in a very good environment, which is like the formal education. Then you have to take the extra step and applying the knowledge you learn informally, and also you develop yourself in leadership, because the best way to lead is to actually be in the ocean, be in the environment, as opposed to leading from the outside. But you can lead from the inside by being a participatory leader. So that is what I mean by leaders are made, and these are some of the ways you can use to make yourself a great leader. You just don't acquire it like that. You don't acquire it like that. Rather, you develop it and you learn in the art of growing up.
So is there some part of it where you have to understand yourself, your own leadership, let's say leadership skills and abilities? Because you said something that the best thing is to be a participatory leader by being in the ocean. But
Right.
Then I've also heard about people that lead from the front, people that lead from the back. You know, it's like you can be fluid with this, which will eventually have to do with you understanding yourself. So is there any reason why you said participatory leader is the best form? Because I know there are other forms as well, but is there any reason?
There's no particular reason, right? We have several types of leadership. Okay, both leading from the back, leading from the front, is all. Even participatory leader is just one area. But then to approach this question, I'm going to tell you we have 3 spheres of leadership. The first one is self, okay? And then the second one is team. And the third is business. Now, these three areas encompasses every organ of leadership. Why? Because leadership is all about self-discovery. You cannot lead yourself. You cannot lead others if you cannot lead yourself. Leadership is about being able to inspire people. Effective leadership is based on ideas. So what does that tell you? You must know yourself before you know other persons. Because many people have failed to discover their strengths and their weakness, they have not been able to know how to adjust when they're leading people. You know, one of the big things in leadership is all about being vulnerable. So in allowing leadership to come into reality, you must be able to understand the dynamics of what comes to up with leadership. And being vulnerable is one of those areas. So once you've now known yourself, you've known your strengths and your capacity, then you will not have emotional intelligence to manage people. That is why the other area comes up with team. With team right now, you are leading a tool, you are leading a family, you are leading in your work, you are leading a community, you are leading in politics as a team. And that is where emotional intelligence comes in. Social awareness, relationship, capacity building. That is where it comes in. Then you now talk about in business, right? So there is no structure to tell you that this form of leadership is just the best. Rather, it's what comes up at any point in time. That was why I mentioned about authoritative, innovative or transformative, charismatic or persuasive. These are all other dynamics of leadership. But as you move along, you will now know what comes in. There will become at a time you will now use your intuitive knowledge to decipher the next line of action.
You said something about personal leadership, and at some point you also mentioned a man who leads in a family and a man who leads in business. And I want us to, and you also said something about politics, so I believe that's the social form of leadership. Like, it's like from the family to the business to like social, that's like three different perspectives. And I want us to take it from the family. Are you familiar with Dr. Jordan Peterson?
With who?
Dr. Jordan Peterson.
No.
Okay, so he's a clinical psychologist who wrote a book called 12 Rules to Life. And he's famous for saying things like, people want to solve the problem in the world, but before you can solve the problem in the world, you have to like fix the problem in your bedroom. So he's famous for the line, clean your room first. Okay, so I just want us to do a bit of correlation. I'm just trying to tie it to what you said about personal leadership and then business leadership and then social leadership. Is it possible to be successful in a social leadership and business leadership without being successful in personal leadership?
Well, I don't think it's possible. And let me approach it from this angle. You can reach a pinnacle of success in life, okay? And then let me put it this way. Imagine you climbing a ladder and you get to the peak of the ladder. And then you now discover that you are climbing at the wrong ladder. You climb the ladder and go to the peak, only to discover that you were leaning on the wrong wall. But you've got to the peak. Now, what that tells you, I call that a defective success. All right, so defective success is all about you knowing fully well that you were born or you were created or you have a passion for law, but you now saw yourself as an artist or a doctor or any field of life, and you got to the peak, but you're not happy, you're not satisfied, you don't have joy. That's what I call defective success. Getting to the pinnacle of life, but you are leaning on the wrong platform. Okay, excuse me. Now, when it comes to leading yourself, that is a fundamental part of leadership. And leadership always comes from the family. Now, a friend of mine once said, if a man has not been able to convince his wife on why he should engage in any form of business, there is no way he can convince the world or society. Why? Because you should be able to convince your wife. That is the first step of leadership. And that is a gospel truth. That's just a fact, regardless of anyhow you might think about it. So in the same line, you should be able to lead your family. I don't really believe in leading the world when your family is in disarray. Any form of leadership you might want to engage in, people will tell you charity begins at home. It's a fact. I understand that some families can be difficult, but that is where it starts, because leadership entails sacrifice, compromise, tolerance, empathy, vision. Like you rightly noted in this webinar, dynamic leadership. You have to be dynamic, because a leader is a person who is far able to motivate the people, but more importantly, close enough to relate with them. So before you can take someone to the promised land, you must be able to relate with them in order to show them the vision. Because the hallmark of leadership is about two things: service and vision. Right? So you cannot lead others without you leading yourself. It starts from the family. Being able to manage your house. In marriage, it has been said that when a marriage collapses, the man is at fault, 100%. That is what the society has made us understand. They don't really care about the woman. They just believe that the man is the one in charge of the family. The woman must have been the one that made the whole divorce a success. She must have been, an ass or whatever you might call her. But people just believe that the man is the head. You should be in charge of the family, no matter how high-headed the woman might be. So in that same light, you must be able to lead your family. And leading your family sometimes is the most challenging part in life. So you must find a way to see how you can bridge the gap. So if you have been able to succeed in your business and also in your social life without being able to succeed in your family, you're gone. Because guess what? Tomorrow, if your wife is being interviewed, she could make a word that can stabilize you no matter what you say, and that is what the world will believe. Same thing for the man. If he believes that the wife has been great out there externally, leading the world, but she's failing in her home duties, the man might feel frustrated or whatever. He might tell you, she's doing a great job out there, but personally, I'm not seeing it. I don't feel it, and she's not doing a good job internally. And that leaves a lacuna for the woman. So that tells you that leadership starts from the family.
You said a lot of things, and it's just it's so many things to like unpack from what you spoke about. And what one thing you said that was very, very powerful was you must be far enough to motivate and close enough to relate with people. And also you talking about the wife, okay? And you having this, you being able to convince your wife on why she should like be in this business with you before you convince the world about them investing in this thing with you. I think those are very, very tremendous thing. I would like to ask you, how do you convince your wife, since that's where we can start, or maybe how do you convince your family to to do something with you? How do you convince them?
I'm going to start with my wife. Okay. One thing about ladies is that, and it's funny, but that's the reality of the day. Every lady knows what she wants in life. Every woman knows what she wants. If a woman wants to hang out with a man, she knows why she was hanging out with the man. If a lady wants to flow with a man, she knows why she wants to flow with a man. So I always say this, right? A lady knows a man that she can sleep with. If she has a problem on finance, she knows a man she can ask for money. Academic, she knows who she can ask for. Spiritually, she knows who to ask for. So in every sphere of life, a lady knows who to ask for. And that is why I said ladies are the most smartest people on planet Earth. I don't care what anyone said. I've said it over and over again. They are extremely smart. They are smarter than men, right? But even at that, a man still has that thing in him that makes him a leader, meaning the fact that he is the head, while the woman is the neck. Remember, it's where the neck is, the head will they tied to us, all right? But the man is just a figurehead. Now, when it comes to convincing a woman, right, you have to use the language she understands. You know, there's a book that I read by George Clason, I think, yeah, The Five Love Languages, where he spoke about
Chapman.
Gary Chapman, yes, Gary Chapman, yes, Gary Chapman. The Five Love Languages. He said about the words affirmation, physical touch, gift, services, and time. As a man, you must be able to understand the love language of a lady. By the time you hold the right woman with the right wordings, just the way you speak might attract her. It's the way you help her with her chores might attract her. The way you buy her gifts might attract her. The way you give her time and attention might attract her. So every woman has their own love language. So you have to know what works for her. So for my own wife, I think what works for her was like words affirmation. The words you use are very, very important. Once you say the right words, sometimes people get it. You know, she's a kind of woman that, yeah, she likes time, she likes touch. No, I'm not saying she really likes touch. Every woman likes touch, but for her own, I think more of is the words. The words makes more meaning to her than whatever it is. And then she also believes in actions. Like apart from the wordings, she wants to see that wordings in action again. So once they see that thing, they can see the vision of where it's going towards to. Then with respect to my own family, now this is how I also lead my family. I lead from the back. I don't lead in the front. I don't lead on the front. That is why I told you earlier on that when it comes to the dynamics of leadership, you have to know what style is applicable. Some people lead from the front. For me, I believe in leading from the back when my family is at place. I don't put myself on the foreground. I just put the structures, the guidelines, right? And for them to see where I'm coming from. Because I take them, I raise up the bar. I just don't come up from the peripheral. I scale up the conversation out there and I leave it down there. So you have to now walk towards it and see the vision. Because I strongly believe in vision. I don't just take things from the ground level. I scale it up. This is the vision. This is where I'm going to. And I set out the roadmap. And then they key in. That's what I think it is.
Tremendous. So you you said something about, leading from the back when it comes to family, but when it comes to the wife, you use the words for formation. And that comes from understanding the specific language that this specific woman understands. So you basically communicate with the woman in the language that she understands. And then one key thing that you mentioned was action. Okay, I think this is where a lot of people don't get it right. People think it's just words, but then I think the action. So leading from the back is a form of action, and also backing up your word with action is a form of action as well. So you're not just putting the word out there, you're actually using what you do to lay down the spectrum of leadership that you think is best for the situation. And I think that's something that I would want the audience to pick up from what you just spoke about. How do you elevate if leadership? Okay, first, before we go into that, do you think leadership is a form of skills? And because you said something about informal and formal, so is it like a skill whereby, you know how you go out there, you could acquire, let's say, a plumbing skill, you could acquire an engineering skill, and you become so good at plumbing, right? You become so good at engineering. It's leadership a form of skill whereby you acquire it, and maybe that's just what you have. So now, how do you showcase that I'm a leader, but you don't have any other skill? Is it that you need to have these other skills coupled with the leadership framework, or you just need to like hone yourself in leadership?
Interesting. I strongly think there are many spheres of skills that's needed in leadership. But one I think that stands out more is influence. Okay, you must be able to influence people. Okay, when I talk about influence, I'm talking about you must be strategic in your thought process, in your words, thoughts, and action. because leadership entails more than just words. How do people see you? How do they perceive you? What ethics did you bring in? How innovative are you? That is what is called leadership. Regardless of whatever area of life you are leading, all you've learned in college, and even your PhD, for example, those of us who for people who have doctorate, they have different types of leadership. They have organizational leadership. When you get into that space of leadership, all you learned is just theory. The practice entails you mixing up with people. That is why one of my great mentors, he said, relationship, when it comes to leadership, he says, rules minus relationship equals to resentment and rebellion. I'm going to repeat that. Rules minus relationship equals to resentment and rebellion. Now, if you have a rule you've learned theoretically in college or in any aspect of life, okay, and then you now take away relationship from it, is what you get is rebellion, because people will not be at peace to work with you. So even though you have that rules, you must be able to be dynamic to make sure that rules align with people in a contemporaneous movement. Why do I say this? If you look at emotional intelligence, we have 4 areas, but one of them is social awareness, and another one is, again, is relationship, right? So how do you lead people? We have different kinds of personalities. We have the sanguine, melancholic, choleric, and phlegmatic. We have the mesam. These are all temperaments which every rational human being possesses. Now, the only way you can apply these skills in leadership is when you have been able to apply the right rules that's in conformity with them. That is why I strongly believe that leadership is all about being skillful. You acquire leadership, but you now apply them in such a way that it will be in tune with reality of every dynamic company, organization, community, and human beings we are dealing with. Let me give you a typical example. If you are leading in politics, it's different from leading in your family. If you're leading in your business, it's different from leading an organization. That is why in every company or every organization, there's something we call cultures and value. You must have systems, structures, and process in place to lead. Now, what is the organizational culture of your company? What is the culture? What are the values you value in your company? What are the values you appreciate in your family? What are the values in politics? What are the values in business? You will discover that the same value that Mr. A is different from Mr. B. So that determines something, that every leadership is purposeful. So it depends on what is needed. That's why I strongly believe that it's all about being skillful and acquiring the right knowledge.
Every leadership is purposeful and it depends on the skill needed. So how do you elevate your leadership skill from what you currently are to the next stage? How do you elevate those skills?
So elevating your leadership skills, number one, what you have to know is the vision you want to implement. Where is your vision? But 3 things that can determine that. I call that one is the mission. Second one is the values. And then the ultimate one is the vision. The mission spells out what you need to do. You can call it the short-term goals or the long-term goals, depending. And then the values are what you hold dear to your heart, what determines what you want to do. And then the vision is at the ideal place you want to go, what people need to see. So for you to elevate that vision, you have to, first of all, tell yourself, who am I? That's self-discovery. What do I want? What do I want to do? Because it's very important. People need to know, what do you want? That is a fundamental question in life. What do you want? Once you have been able to identify what you want, then you now determine, how do I get it done? Because guess what? Done is better than perfect when perfect is not done. I repeat that. Done is better than perfect when perfect is not done. So once you know the vision, the mission of what, let me say, once you know what you want, then the next thing is to decide, how do you attain it? That is where you have that mission spelled out. Then to actualize that mission, you need the right values that people will see and identify with you. What is your value? Do you value honesty? Do you value decency? Do you value punctuality? Every person is different and every mission is different. So value spells out what you want. And it's in that value people will be able to determine your vision, because that is what people will see, the ideal structure of people will see. So to elevate your skills and leadership, or to elevate your style, you need to put into consideration your mission, your values, and your vision, because these are the three things that can define any form of life you want to live.
Very interesting, because that would really change the game for anyone that's interested in elevating their leadership skill. You touched on the family, and there's a reason why I'm just going back to the family, because I think you're very right about family structure, getting it right before getting the leadership outside there right. And one of my mentors, we had the CEO meetings. These are like top people, like millionaires and billionaires and people like that. And everyone was in the room. And these are like very, highly successful human beings. Like when you see them, these guys are so successful that you just want to be like them. And when you ask them, my mentor was one asking them actually, and he asked them like, "What's your biggest challenge?" And one thing about 95% of them had in common was family problem, relationship problem. Like you see them, they are so successful outside there, but when it comes to like their family or their wives or their, being in the house is just difficult. So this is something that, I feel like, you need to look for a balance. So how do you find this balance where you become good with leading on the family level and also good with leading on the outside business or political social level? Because I've seen it on countless number of times whereby people are just so successful outside, because there's some people that they just love what they do and they can spend 18, 19, 20 hours doing what they love doing. But when they come to the house, they're drained, they don't know what they want to do. It's like everyone in the house is just like, getting on their nerves. So how do you find this balance? And feel free to use like something like a personal experience as an example for us.
All right, so I'm going to speak about this in two areas. Like you said, one is your family and then also personal. Okay. Now, I'm going to approach this question from the angle of a democratic or participatory style of leadership, which I mentioned earlier on. Now, how does this usually play out? It's all about collaborative, okay? Working in your family, inspiring commitments, as the word entails, democratic, okay? It's like you want to collaborate with people and allow people to air their voice. You want to inspire them to really commit that what we say we're going to do, we will do it. Above all, it should be action-oriented, okay? Because why? You need results. That's one angle, on the professional angle. On the personal angle, which comes to me in my own family, from day one, I told my wife that the role in the family is this, I'm not going to say it's my word or your word, it's our word. And how does that play out? We will use the best interest judgments. meaning that I'm not going to allow the ego in me as a man to supersede. No. Whatever you say and whatever I say, we will not think which one will be of our best interest. And a typical way of saying this is that I coach people when it comes to marriage and relationship. I counsel people on that as a human capacity coach. When I was teaching about money in marriage, I said, it is not your money. It's not our money. It is our money. Especially when we speak from the Christian perspective, because when two have been joined together, they become one. Even though man is a head. So if we are one, that means it's not your money, it's not my money. It's our money. That is for the ideal Christian life. But everybody is fine to choose whatever works for them. So I think in family, you are one. Another area again that I think that I can help people, like you rightly mentioned, people are successful in their business, but internally in their family, they always complain about family not being successful. One thing that can help them again is communication. Remember, I said, in a democratic style of leadership, it's otherwise called participative. Communication is very, very important in marriage. Communication is a life wire of marriage. The moment communication dies in marriage, the marriage is as good as dead. So what people need to understand is they have to find time to communicate with their spouses. Share your intention. As a matter of fact, I told my wife many months ago, when we first married, that every month we're going to have a monthly meeting. Not really a meeting whereby we will accuse each other of a fault. No, it's how we can build this family to be a greater height, to go of a greater height. How can I be a better man? And how can you be a better woman? I'm going to tell you, and you're going to tell me. You will tell me what you think I'm not doing right, how I can improve, not trying to demonize me or kill me. And for me, in the same way, I will try also to help you, right? So the best interest judgment will prevail. So what does that mean? We are trying to communicate, because once you speak to people, you will get to know their body language and what's going on in their thought process. Because the mind can be deceitful. So if you are successful in your business, probably you have this choleric temperament in you, you always strive in activity, right? And then your family, probably your wife is the phlegmatic type or the melancholic type, very, very reserved, not the outgoing type. She might not care about all the money you bring in. She needs time at home. So you have to find a balance to communicate with her and say, okay, babe, what is of interest to us? Is it the money right now or the time? And you can convince him, if you give me 5 months, 5 years, let me build this business. Please, you have to sacrifice, because compromise is very important in business. Bear with me. When I'm done with this and I have an institution, then I can have more time to spend with you and the kids. Then I have people working for me and the business is moving. So you see, it all falls down to communication. You will know at every stage in life what works better for each person. So that is what I think is lacking in many families. You have to look inwardly in your family and know, what do you need? What do you want? That's why I said your mission is important. The values both of you holding should be the commandment, because the value is like the commandment, the nucleus in the family. And then the vision. So the mission is that we are married and we want to make sure we have a happy home. But then what is going to give us a happy home is the values, meaning what I like and what you like. And then we'll now see how we can compare and contrast. Then the vision talks about how are we going to achieve it in the other end. So it's not about now, it's the future. So when there's no communication in that marriage, what else? When there's no understanding, what are we doing? So that's why I said democratic style of leadership is what families need to implement in their marriage, and not authoritative, which is dictatorial or controlling. That is where many people screw it up. So you must be persuasive when it comes in as a man, but above all, you must be charismatic. That's another style of leadership. So, but I think in this case, the democratic style of leadership should be used to have balance in marriage and in business.
Okay. In fact, one question I want to ask you is, what style of leadership do you implement in your house and in your business? And how has it been working for you?
Okay. So for me, I have two styles of leadership that has worked for me. One is the democratic style of leadership, because I try to be involved.
Involve everyone.
Okay, I try to communicate with my wife at every point in time, and she's very, very supportive. I've been able to do this right now because my wife gave me permission. Immediately I spoke to her, she said, okay. I didn't even inform her. Again, that is just me again. I take things spontaneously, right? Okay. Another thing again that has to work again is the charismatic side of leadership. Not only that are you saying it, but let them say it. And this is women for you. If they don't see those things you're saying, sometimes they don't take it serious. Because I always say this: a woman will only respect you when you give her something to respect. So as a man, by the time you go out there and start messing yourself with ladies, no woman will respect you. Start drinking, become a drunkard, they will not respect you. But when you show that you are responsible, she will respect you. Because what a man needs more in his life is respect. And what a woman needs more in her life is love. But as a man, you must show a woman what to respect. So once you show her what to respect, she will naturally submit to you. And as a lady, once you respect a man, he will naturally love you. And as a man, once you love a woman, she will naturally submit to you. That's where it is. So you must be able to work in this area. So for my family, is the democratic style of leadership that I use. But when it comes to my business, is the innovative, or what I call the transformative style of leadership. And this deals with creativity and having a dynamic vision to unlock tangible values or structures that surrounds every organization. So I'm very, very creative in nature, and I give that to God. Creativity is one of the highest things that has helped me in business and in life generally. So like I said, every structure is different. But for my own business, what has helped me so much is the innovative or the transformative style of leadership, because we live in a dynamic world. So creativity is very important. Once you know what you want, you have that focus. I call it the laser focus that will align with you the values of the foundation of the mission and the vision of the company you represent. Thank you.
So you have the innovative and the transformative form of leadership at your workplace and in the family democratic. Did you evolve into that, or did you just start practicing the creative, innovative, transformative form of leadership all along, or you had a different style that did not work and then you evolved into implementing this? And if the answer is yes, what were the things that happened and transpired you into adopting the transformative, innovative, creative form of leadership that's been working out for you?
Wow, that's a very interesting question right there, Mr. Dapo. This response, sometimes people pay for these things, but I'm just giving you idea for free. People pay heavily for these things I'm saying right now, but that's okay. You're taking it really deeper. Well, for me, I literally evolved into it, and I always say this: you must be intentional and deliberate in life. In whatever you're doing, you must be intentional and deliberate. I've gotten to a stage in my life that my time is priceless. I just don't engage in frivolity unless I want to engage in it. So for me, it depends on what I want to achieve. So when it comes to my work, my family, and my business, I just apply this aspect of life, which I call being intentional and deliberate. What do you want? What will be of the best interest here now and then? My wife once told me that I have this ego in me. In fact, she used the word authoritative. That whatever I have in my place of work and my business, do I bring it back home? So over time, I felt that, okay, because I know she's very big on words and actions again, like I remember when I talk about charismatic style of leadership and persuasive. Now, those things did not work for her. And I came down to be a servant leader, and then in a way, it began to work. Right? So the whole voice thing, I used to be loud when I speak and everything, and to me it was not really a big issue, But over time, I discovered that to her, it's a very big issue. But to me, it's just like how I express myself. And I was like, it's normal to me, and I never meant harm. But everyone is different the way they see things, So I discovered that she is not the kind of woman that can absorb some of this. So I have to change that pattern. So that is why when I get to work again, I also apply this to my transformative style of leadership, in the sense that you have to be innovative and know what works for people, because you work with a diverse set of people. If you're in a public setting, you have to know how to work with people, because in life, you have to be civil to all, social to many, and familiar to few. So even in a public setting, so your civility is very important. And when you now go to a close friends, you have to be social to them just to implement what you want. But when it comes to your family and your bosom friends, you have to be familiar with them. So at each stage in life, you have to know what works for you to achieve it, because you cannot put a square peg in a round hole. It's not going to work. So that is why I said leadership is very, very dynamic. You have to evolve with people. You have to grow with them and know what works for them. That was why I gave you that powerful nugget, that a leader is a person who is close enough to relate with people and far ahead to motivate them. You cannot take me to the promised land without knowing if I have the strength to go down there. You must be able to relate with me to know if I can. And when you do that, you might give me the inspiration to walk, even though I don't have that energy. So that is why it's good to know what works at every point in time.
So this whole concept and notion and this conceptualization of leadership, especially if you're at the stage of building a team, networking, it sounds like sales, giving a sales pitch. So what if you already have your team and there is just this one person that doesn't buy into the idea that you're selling, that doesn't buy into your leadership idea, or just one person in the family, or let's say maybe your wife, for example, doesn't buy the idea of what you want to do? How do you handle that? Or how do you convince them into buying into the vision, the mission, the values, and seeing things from your own perspective? How do you handle that kind of situation?
Okay, so it depends on the setting you're looking at for. If it's in a family setting, I think it's a different approach you're going to use. If you are doing it in the public setting, probably in your business, it's a different approach you're going to use. So for example, if it's in your family business and you're telling your wife that this is what you want to do, and she's not applying to it, you will go back to the drawing board and says, remember, we have a commandment. And what is that commandment? This is the value. And what is the underlying value there? The best interest judgment. What will be of our own interest. If it's something that will benefit me, okay, you will know it's going to benefit me. If it's something that will benefit you, I will know something that will benefit you, because your progress is my progress. Your failure is my failure. We are one, regardless. So what is the point here? Is that you don't have to be selfish. If it will benefit your wife in the longer run, you have to leave your own interest at the background. Why? Because you are looking at the vision. One thing that can help families literally grow in life is compromise. Compromise is very, very important. It's not about you. It's all about what will be of the best interest. Now, so as a man, you must take that leadership skill of you being the head, of trying to convince your wife that this thing will be good. She will see it, because it's only a sadist that will see what will be of the best interest to the family, and he or she will not say no to it. And as a man, if you're trying to convince your wife that this thing is good, and she's saying no to it, if you love your marriage, you are like to grow, because sometimes it's not about being right. You may win the argument and lose the marriage. But if you don't like your marriage, you don't like the lady, and you're done, that will be an excuse for you to back out. I'm a realist. I say the way it is. But I think the best it should be, just sacrifice your own interest and allow you to flow, because you don't want to experience a failed marriage, regardless of how you think. A friend of mine was saying a couple of days ago, it is harder to get a divorce than easier to get married, because divorce is horrible. It's something you don't want to wish your enemy, right? So if you try to convince your wife and she's proving like a high-headed person, allow her to reign. Whatever is in her mindset, down the line might calm down. And even though if it fails to calm down, you know what? You win. That's okay, because in marriage, it's not about a win-lose. It's a win-win. So it's not about being right. Sometimes you don't claim your rights. You allow your right to go because of the vision you have. So when it comes to the business, for example, and you are trying to control your team and one member is saying otherwise, in that area, you now have to bring in your persuasive skill in leadership. You can even use the characteristic approach. You can say, no, this is the vision. If we have 10 people in the committee, 6 says yes, 4 says no, 6 is going. Unless you have a deadlock of 5-5, they probably can use your veto power as the leader to nail it. So every case is literally different. But your point as a leader is this: you will have to communicate your vision to your people in such a way that they will be able to understand and articulate what you're trying to convey. And I think if they are rational enough, they will kill into it, unless they have ulterior motives, which you don't really know. But as time proceeds, you will have to evaluate them and evaluate whatever is going on. In that way around, you will have a better understanding of where you're heading to.
Insightful. So I want you to nail something, please. Over the years, I have come to realize the fact that a lot of people go out and embark on doing something, and then they miss, they fail, they do this, and then they try again, but they just don't seem to get it right. And they've been trying for like 5-10 years. And I was reading about Jeff Bezos, and I realized that Jeff Bezos has like up to like 50 leadership coach and mentor and all types of people. And I will want you to nail the importance of having a leadership coach or a leader mentor, so that people will understand the need to like just save time, get things done on time, hold themselves accountable, and just be able to move to the next thing. Because I think that's something that's very fundamental, but a lot of people still think, I could do it by myself. So I just want you to nail on the importance of having a leadership coach or a leadership mentor that can help someone grow and elevate their leadership skill.
Thank you so much, Dapo. This is a very interesting question for me, because again, this is one of my areas of strengths. I'm a mentor, all right, to a lot of people, high school students, college students, and even career professionals. In one of my articles that I published 3 years ago, it's titled "Mentors Are Lifesavers." Okay, and in that article, I said it crystal clear what people need to get as a mentor and as a mentee. It's a very good article. I would strongly recommend people to go there, look out for it. Mentors Are Lifesavers by Henry Ukazu. You will get more insight on it. Now, there's a difference between a mentor and a coach. A mentor will only tell you what to do, and you can read from a mentor's articles, books, online, and stuff like that. As a mentor, just get out there. But a coach will show you. A mentor will tell you, but a coach will show you by holding you on the hand and show you practical ways of how it's been done. Alternatively, a mentor can be someone in the classroom area, the classroom, the teacher will be teaching you. That is a mentor for you. But a coach will not take you in the real world. How do you apply those things that has been taught to you in the classroom? So who will you prefer? Will you prefer the man with theoretical experience or the man with the practical experience? Definitely, you will take the man with practical experience. And that is why coaches are very, very important. In every sphere of life, coaches will help you to facilitate whatever you want to do. Guess what? in your learning and in your developmental processes, coaches are there to help you to implement the right changes that you need. Sometimes people have to struggle to get to where they are. But when you have a coach, he will help to grow you up. He will teach you, show you practical ways. You will learn from them, especially when it comes to their mistakes that they've done. A coach will help you to discover your talents and cultivate new skills that can fit into the world in which we live in. But one thing I love coaches more important is this: they show you results. And when I mean results, the results are being backed up. And the best way I can say this is this: imagine running a business, or you have a family, or you have a friend, okay? And you're thinking you're smart, but all they've told you to do, you fail to do it. But somebody who is wise enough, who never went to school, have learned from these people, and they were able to implement it, and then they were able to succeed. What is the difference there is word mistakes. That is the point I'm trying to point out there. Coaches will tell you the mistakes they did and how you can deal with that mistakes when you face similar encounter. If you've not had someone that will hold you by your hands and tell you the challenges that you will see, you may have a hard time succeeding. So it's always important in life for people to have coaches in every aspect of life. You must have a coach. And I've told my wife, my friends, everybody I've come in contact with, in any aspect of life, you need a coach. You must be accountable to somebody. You must be accountable. That is one way to show discipline. Without accountability, you might not be anywhere. Just like as a man, you are accountable to your wife, to your children, to your family, to your friends, to your boss. That is how it is in life. You must be accountable. Even to God, you must be accountable to God at the end of the day. So accountability is very, very important. So that is why coaches play a unique role. Let me say this: a wise man learns from his mistake, but a wiser man learns from other people's mistakes. What is the difference between a smart man and a wise man? A smart man hears that information, but a wise man implements it. A smart man makes his own mistake, but a wise man will see that mistakes and then also implement it. That's the difference. Implementation is the key. So coaches will help you to show you the practical ways on how you can literally succeed in life.
One of the reasons why I actually asked the question was I needed someone out there to understand the emphasis of having a coach, and not just a coach, a paid coach. Like, go out there and pay for a coach, for someone to coach you. Because I have experienced the difference myself. Before, a lot of people would say, no, I don't need a coach, and go on YouTube and watch videos on YouTube and this and that and do some whatever, 12 hours, webinar, this and that. No, when you have someone whom you call a coach in your line of business and you're paying this person, it helps you move faster. It helps you get things done faster. It helps you really, really see like, oh man, I am really improving. And if you really want to grow, and this is to the audience, if you really want to grow, make sure you find someone in your line of business, in your line of industry, who can coach you and be willing to pay this person, even if they say they will do it for free. No, be willing to pay them, because these people are very vital. They have experience, and you can learn from their wealth of experience. And that's one reason why I actually asked the question, for people to understand that it's different from having someone to just say, oh, just be my coach, be my mentor. And no, hire someone. There's so many ways you could do this. You could reach out to people, you could just look at their profile, see what they've done, and then send an email to them, tell them you want them to be your coach. And if they say they want to do it for free, don't let them do it for free. Pay them to actually do it. I think it's just important for people to just understand that, and also get that out of the way, so they don't just think, oh, succeeding and becoming a good leader is just something that you could just watch a YouTube video on and just say, oh yeah, I watched this video on YouTube and I'm good. No, it doesn't work that way. You need to be willing to pay for some. You said something about sacrifice. You need to be willing to sacrifice something in order to be great. If you are not willing to sacrifice anything, you will just keep watching YouTube videos, and that will be it for you. So don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted at all.
Let me just say, add more to it. Okay, based on what you just said, there's a word that you use, a paid coach. That word really got me interesting, because treasures are hidden, gold are hidden, jewels are hidden, diamonds are hidden. You don't see it on the surface. If you go down on the bottom of the sea, that is where you see the big fishes. The little fishes just go on the peripheral. You can get them, but the big fish, the dolphin, the big fish, the sea fish, you see them on the beneath. That is how it is once you pay for people. People just think they go online. Yes, you could go online, watch YouTube videos, go Instagram Live, Facebook Live, read books. Yeah, important. But if you want treasures, you need to pay. And then they will now show you, you now come into the cycle, and then they will now guide you on how to do it. But what, unfortunately, some people just feel that they can get stuff on the free level. Just not work that way.
And I understand.
Free is limited. People don't know that word free. There's no free thing. Free is limited. But once you pay, you will see value.
It's like you're unlocking all the different game stages.
Exactly. That's why it's a word.
Get into the next level. Next level. Yeah, and I understand, because I used to be one of those who would be like, yeah, I'll just watch a YouTube video. If they say, oh, learn something, I used to tell people, you know what, I can learn anything on YouTube, which is true. You could learn anything on YouTube, but you won't get the details. You won't get the big fish. You won't get the dolphin, the whales, the shark. No, you won't get all those things. You will just get the tiny tilapia fish on the surface. Okay. Do you have, I know there are tons of John C. Maxwell books on leadership. So I would like to know if you have a book on leadership that you would like to recommend to the audience out there. Without using John C. Maxwell.
Okay, I don't have any specific one for. I know I've read many of his books on leadership, but no one is coming up on top of my head right now. But there's a book I'm reading currently now by John Mason. It's about purpose. About purpose. So that is a book I think people need. I love John Mason books, but also this other book about purpose again is very, very important again, because purpose and leadership work together. Okay, so I would strongly recommend any book on John Maxwell book about purpose. Okay, John Maxwell and John Mason, these people are very, very good when it comes to leadership. So I don't have any specific one, because to me, they're all amazing. Honestly, I've read so many books, but there's no one I could pinpoint, because it all depends on what you are looking at for. They're all great books on leadership and on purpose.
Yeah.
But actually, the fundamental line of leadership is a purpose.
True.
You want to be intentional in whatever you want to do. You got to know yourself first and know what you want to implement, because that will determine how far you go. It's like having a foundation.
So guys, you've heard it. You've heard about personal leadership, family leadership, social leadership, focusing more and more on personal, because if you can't handle yourself, how do you want to handle the family? How do you want to handle business? How do you want to handle the society, whatever? So I would like you guys to pick a copy of Henry Ukazu's book, Design Your Destiny, Actualizing Your Birthright and Success. It's very fundamental that you go through the book so you understand yourself, you understand your destiny, understand how to, unleash your full potential. There's a video, I'll make sure the video is somewhere around here. Make sure you watch the full video on how to unleash your full potential, because a lot of people are walking around, they have lots of potential in them, but when you just talk to them, you just realize that these people are just maybe they're living up to like 20% of their full potential. You need to unlock your full potential if you want to fulfill your destiny in life. If you don't do that, you owe this world something, and you have to be willing to sacrifice something in order to unleash your full potential. Henry Ukazu, do you have any final parting words for us that you want us to hold on to?
The only word I'm going to also say to my audience is this, just a quote. Until you have figured out your life purpose and the goal you are aiming for, you are merely existing as supposed to be living. In every sphere of life you are today, in your family, in your business, in your academic, in politics, you must know your purpose. It's very, very critical. In knowing your purpose, you must know yourself. It's very, very important. Otherwise, you merely existing as supposed to be living. If you have a difficulty in knowing your purpose and trying to unleash your potentials, feel free to reach out to me. I am a human capacity coach. I'll be able to guide you on how to discover your purpose, what is so unique about you, how to make the right choice, and above all, transform you to unleash your potentials.
You've heard that. Make sure you connect with him also on social media, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, at henryukazu.com. And if you're new to this channel, please make sure you subscribe to this channel so you could keep getting more content like this, more life transforming content like this. Make sure you click the like button, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share this video so that all of your friends and family get to see this, because the way leadership works is not just you improving as a leader, you also have to make sure everyone around you improves as you are improving, because that's how you get rid of resentment, negativity, jealousy. So you're not just the only one who's rising up the skill, you are actually helping. There's this saying from Denzel Washington where he said, each one teach one. So it's not a function of just you improving as a leader, you have to help your team to rise as well. So make sure you share this video so every one of your friends see it, everyone in your family sees it, and we all keep improving ourselves on a daily basis as we keep going out there, becoming better versions of ourselves, improving ourselves in leadership, networking, and communication as well. And until next time, when I'll be coming with another section, another segment of this video, and another guest, and most likely maybe we'll bring Henry Ukazu again to come share more wisdom with us. Until next time, remember, guys, to always be your best self. Take care, everyone. Thank you so much, Henry Ukazu.
Thank you, sir.